Our third program is CityWork, the City of Louisville, Kentucky. And here to make the presentations are Jerry Abramson, the mayor of the City of Louisville, and Barbara Warman, a lieutenant in the Louisville Division of Police. Welcome.
Thank you. Bureaucracy is the tar baby that kills innovation in government. Left to their own devices, bureaucracies have an uncanny talent for taking a dynamic idea and turning it into lethargy. Mayors and governors and presidents have grappled with this problem. How do you make the bureaucracy more responsive, more accountable, and more effective? In Louisville, we decided we needed a way to reach into the bureaucracy and engage the people who administer affordable housing programs, deliver human services, fix the potholes, pick up the garbage, and changing how they do their work. We wanted something simple, something concrete, something results-oriented, quick, and inexpensive. We also wanted something that was effective and permanent, something that would change the mindset of the bureaucracy, which is the biggest obstacle to making government effective. The answer we devised, we called CityWork. It's modeled after organizational change mechanism pioneered by our neighbors in the private sector, General Electric to be specific. They helped us get started through a genuine and generous, unique public-private partnership. What we've created is a permanent mechanism for ongoing change that we're building into the way we do business in Louisville. CityWork is a vehicle for long-term systemic rethinking of how city government delivers its services. It's premised on one very simple idea. If you engage the hearts and the minds of the people closest to the problem, their knowledge, their experience will give them an edge in the search for a better way to do their job. In CityWork, we form teams, either intra or interdepartmental, that include people from the highest to the lowest on the organizational ladder. We give them a concrete problem, provide the strong support by a facilitator, set them to work in a highly structured process, add the adrenaline of tight deadline pressures and the payoff of quick decisions by the administration, and our employees come through with clear-sighted recommendations for how to do their job better. CityWork sometimes helps government save money, but it's not just a saving money program. It's about getting the biggest bang for the buck from the taxpayers, about making city service more effective. After 3 years and dozens of workouts with hundreds of employees, CityWork has resulted in over 200 specific changes in policy and practice in virtually every agency in city government. On that list are improvements where we save $400,000, all the way to a small group of employees who were empowered to decide how to organize, taking turns at the switchboard. In the last year, we carried this concept a step further, adapting CityWork to become a powerful mechanism in community dialogue. Working with more than 90 residents of the city's most impoverished neighborhoods, CityWork allowed us to engage in a grassroots strategic planning process that produced the most coherent, workable blueprint to change our community that we've ever done. So what have we learned? The tar baby of bureaucracy stems in large part from the fact that employees think they don't count, that they're just paper shuffling, pothole filling cogs in a big, big machine. And we learned the disillusionment with government stems from citizens' impression that government isn't listening. That's the mindset we're out to change, and that's what CityWork is all about.
I believe in the CityWork process. I have seen it change the Louisville Police Department. CityWork is accepted and used in the last place anybody thought it would work, in a semi-military culture where the hierarchy is rigid and following your superior's orders, not questioning them, is the norm. Once the process started, officers and police employees saw that it led to significant change. They saw that they were empowered to change policy, to create and redirect programs and activities. Now, I believe CityWork is more enthusiastically accepted in the police department than many other departments. Let me give you an example of the kind of changes we instituted. We had a policy that detectives assigned to our narcotics unit could only stay 3 years and then they were rotated out. Now, to the command staff, this made sense because the conventional wisdom was that after 3 years on the narc squad, you either burn out or the temptation to get in on the big bucks becomes too great. But to the detectives, this made no sense. To the detectives, it meant that just as you were learning the ins and outs of drug trafficking, you're transferred. It meant that the dealers and pushers were always one step ahead of you. So when we had a workout on this policy, the officers gave the chief 6 reasons for keeping the limit and 28 reasons why this was a bad policy. The officers were empowered to change this assignment policy, a policy that they never believed they could change. There are many other examples of officers empowered to make change. Most recently, the CityWork process enabled us not only to develop a plan for implementing community-oriented policing, it provided us with a ready-made process for working with more than 100 citizens and officers throughout the community to integrate community-oriented policing into everything we do, to make it a way of life in the Louisville Police Department. As a 17-year veteran of the Louisville Police Department, I can assure you, CityWork makes a difference.
Thank you very much. Mayor Hatcher.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, two questions. First of all, you mentioned interdepartmental meetings and decision-making sessions. Are there jurisdictional problems? In other words, if your facilitators work on a particular problem, where does that leave, for example, the person who has primary responsibility for that?
Well, what happens at the end of a CityWork process is that we make decisions right then and there at the end of the 2.5 days. There's a champion for every decision to ensure that it gets implemented if we've accepted it as an administration. And that champion has the responsibility in the cloud of the mayor's office to see it through. We come back with a reunion in 90 days, and we go through the checklist of what we said we would do and whether we did or did not deliver. And if we didn't deliver, then either myself or my two deputy mayors who believe very much in this process and are beginning to really change the whole mindset of the folks out in the field, we bring it to their attention how important it is to have another reunion in 90 days and to ensure that it's brought into fruition. The real issue is trying to get middle management to buy into the process. And what we've done is we put together a program called Putting CityWork to Work, where you take all the middle management of a department, and we are now through a 2-day process teaching them and working with them to understand not to be threatened, but to join in the process as those that have been a part of our interdepartmental workouts have occurred, to give them a feeling that they're part of the team and that they ultimately, we all receive the positive reward if we're able to deliver services more efficiently and cost effectively.
David Gergen.
Mr. Mayor, I'm curious, the innovation here seems to be in changing the culture among people who work for the city, changing the processes. How does it strike the people who actually live in the city? Could you name the 3 most important changes that have actually been, that have come, the innovations that have come in terms of programs that affect citizens?
First, I'd say that if you take, as we have the CityWork concept, and take it out into a neighborhood,
right,
a neighborhood that in the past has had difficulties in drugs, in crime, in boarded-up homes, in folks who own housing and rent but don't live in the area, we have developed this process to be able to go outside city government. Through the facilitators working with the citizens, we're empowering the citizens to ultimately develop a strategy that they will then, along with city government, implement to change the activities in their neighborhoods. That's one aspect. The other aspect is the fact that there are less people driving through the neighborhoods of Louisville that see, as an example, because we just finished the CityWork on illegal dumping, that see vacant lots with trash on them. That see and why? Because the group that went through the process came up with the idea that most of the illegal dumping came from the alleys. And what we wanted to do, what they recommended, is to get the railroad ties, to get them located on the alley side of a vacant lot, so that a truck couldn't as easily move onto the lot, dump illegally, and move out. The railroad, when we went to see them about the ties, agreed with us so much that they're not only giving us the ties, they're locating the ties on the back of the vacant lots to stop the illegal dumping. So the average person driving through that neighborhood, in that instance, sees a cleaner lot, sees lots that are not as strewn with debris, and gives us an opportunity through the employees' mindset to implement change that has a direct effect on the day-to-day lives of our citizens.
Max Sherman.
There were a couple of instances, one in the Employee Relations Department and the other in the Budget Department, where there was a little bit of a stumble. What did you learn from that, and will it eventually work there?
Well, what we learned from our employee relations, I hate to use the word failure, but it didn't work, you're right, was that we didn't narrow the issues enough. We literally didn't focus it in such a way with enough preliminary work by the teams that the lieutenant is an active part of, that then goes out and finds out how other private sector businesses, other governments, cities, counties, states are doing the kinds of things that we're going to bring to to the cross-department group through the CityWork process, so that we can, in a 2.5-day period, get them thinking quickly, because we've done all the backup, all the research, we know what all the options are, at least many of them, and then they can pick and choose or tailor a situation to respond, in that case, to the issue of employee relations.
Margot?
I just wonder if you could talk about any sort of unanticipated consequences of doing business this way in the city.
Yeah, I would like to say, as an employee and as someone who has helped up with planning committees, and I'm also a lead facilitator for the city, it gives the employees a new buy-in to where they work. They really feel empowered, and they do make decisions